One of the things I love doing is helping people to have easy, holistic solutions that they can use if they're having a hard time or if they just want to feel well in their body, mind, and soul. Okay, so today I actually want to talk to you guys about boundaries. Okay, I've been seeing this all over my TikTok. I've been seeing this on YouTube a lot, and I'm that type of person that really likes to show people how the energy realm and your energetic body, okay, melds with real life and real things that you can use to be better. I believe that health is multifaceted, especially when it comes to your mental health, okay? So I believe that you can go medical, but you can also go holistic, okay? So let's talk about boundaries and where they kind of live in our chakra system. Okay, our chakra system has 7 main glowing lights, and they all hold a specific energy that helps you in your life. Okay, so your boundaries live, or your ability to set boundaries lives in your root chakra. And we just finished doing a meditation to help you feel safe in your root chakra. Your root chakra is all about self-preservation. Okay, it's all about feeling safe, okay, and just feeling secure. All right, so that's naturally where our boundaries and our power within our boundaries and our energy around our boundaries lay. So if you don't feel safe, secure, and self-preserved in yourself, your boundaries would be weaker. Okay, I know that in my own practice and in my own life and my own journey, when I had a very blocked root chakra, that I didn't feel like I had any control over what people did to me, how I would approach people in getting what it is that I feel comfortable with or want or need, because I never really felt safe in myself. So I would say that if you are looking to making boundaries for yourself, you want to make sure that your root chakra is open and ready for you to feel safe and secure. So boundaries can be hard. Okay, I know that it's really hard to sometimes feel like we have agency over ourselves. And if you don't know what agency feels, it's like feeling like you can face your problems, feeling like you can find ways to help yourself and do that. That is having agency over yourself. And I wanted to kind of talk about this from a self-care perspective. This is not a perspective of, we need to have boundaries with other people. I wanted to talk more about how you relate to your own boundaries and what it is that you want. So, like, real self-care is not like taking bubble baths and going to get your nails done, or, having a glass of wine that you enjoy. Yes, those are acts of things that make ourselves feel loved and cared for. But real self-care is more of perspective, right? About yourself. So I think that when you are trying to set boundaries for yourself, right, you need to really think about, how are you connected to what it is that you do, okay? So if you are taking bubble baths, why are you doing that? Are you doing that because you saw someone on TikTok making the most lavish bath for themselves, and that's what they have marketed that self-care is to you, because they have a whole bunch of things you can buy and help them make money, right? Or, are you doing a bubble bath because that is what you feel is helping you feel loved and cared by yourself? Okay, so I think the big question is, how do you figure out how to be, right? How do you like stop just doing all the things that everyone says are good for you, but actually like be that, right? Like how do you get into that space? How do you show up? So I think the first step is like just stopping and thinking about that. How do you be? What do you do? How do you figure that out? Right? Just think about that for a second. What comes to your mind? So how do you focus on being as opposed to just doing? You have to take the time to reflect on what works for you, right? And if you don't know that, take out a journal and you say, how do I be? How do I be instead of do? So the internal work is hard because it allows you to look at all the things that you have to change. That's so overwhelming, but it is literally the first step to making sure that you are able to be, right? Okay, so let's go into like, what is a boundary? It doesn't always mean saying no, okay? It is important to say no if you don't want to do something, okay? But it doesn't always mean you're going to say no, all right? A boundary is pausing, okay? Asking yourself, yes, no, or do I negotiate on this? You pause. Okay, I'm just going to say it again. You decide yes or no, or do we negotiate on this? Now, I don't know, there may be people in the chat that have felt like they've never had a choice. I know that I've lived a life where I feel like I've never had a choice. There have been things in my life that have deterred me from being able to make my own choices. I've given people my power so that I don't have a choice, right? Because it always comes back to me. That's just the way I look at it. And that's how I feel I get better every day. It's like it always comes back to me. So the fact that I can negotiate is a big deal. And not even with others, just like with myself. Like things don't have to be so black and white. You know what I'm saying? Like if you say yes and no, yes or no, you don't have to like rest on that. You can say, actually, I need to negotiate this because this is gonna make me better. Also, like that sort of shows us that we don't always have to react. We can take our time and respond. So I know that I'm not the only one that in the past has been asked to do something. I don't even think about it and I say yes, right? I don't pause. I just say yes. As somebody that has been a people pleaser in my past, you know, saying yes, even when you don't want to do something, is the easiest way to attain love, right? Easiest way to attain adoration because you don't have any boundaries. Okay, so, you know, when you're pausing, you are able to respond instead of react. And we know that response is better than reaction because of the fact that we give ourselves the respect and think to say, what does Josie want? What does Al want? What does Renee want? Right? What do you want before you answer? Anne says, yes, I now take my time and respond, but there are times I've responded, but there are less of those yes. And I think that we have to just give ourselves grace. It's like we are not always going to be on our boundary game. The thing is, it's like this is really hard stuff to do. If you have been somebody that really, really has had to give in order to have love, if you have had to have approval from people to feel worthy, this is going to be hard because what you're doing is you're undoing that old habit of just doing and not thinking. Okay, and there's that selfish piece too, right? A lot of people feel like if they're saying no or they are prioritizing themselves, that they're being selfish. But the fact is that if you don't preserve yourself, if you don't have boundaries, healthy ones, if you don't tell your mind and your body that you're worth it, right, then you will be very unhappy because of the fact that you feel like you're being pulled from every angle, right? So that's really important when it comes to boundaries. Yeah, absolutely, Anne. I believe I've been living that for some time. Anne says, like, sometimes it can be lonely because it's a big change. And it really is. It is, because the fact is like you are on a different wavelength than a lot of other people. If you are the type of person that is deciding to make really big changes in your life, okay, because you are that person that is meant to break cycles. Okay, you're that person that really likes to do the internal work because you want to be better for yourself. You're on a different wavelength than other people, and a very small, percentage of people. So it does get lonely, but I think it's important to have people that are growing just like you, if you can find them, and really know and like try to have some sort of connection with those people, because those people will understand how hard it is to make a change when you're trying to better yourself. How do we start when we want to set a boundary? Okay, because this is scary stuff. We just said this is scary and it can be lonely, especially if we are pretty aggressive on this. Okay, you got to start with very low risk things, so baby steps. Okay, now if you've been watching me for some time, or if you're new to me, I have a book that literally takes baby steps for you to change your entire inner being. Okay, so hands down, if you are doing anything, it doesn't matter what it is, it's not just doing boundaries. If you are doing any sort of change in your life, it is always a good idea to start low and slow. Okay, so very low risk things. Okay, so you're doing baby steps. Ask yourself, why are you setting that boundary? What is it that you want from setting that boundary? Because you have to remember that you're always trying to figure out why you're making a change, okay, and what it's going to do for you. Okay, so what does it do? And then how did you get there? Like, what happened that you want to set this boundary right now? This is a really important part, all right? Because the fact is like, you don't just want to set boundaries because you think you should do that, or somebody told you should do that. You want to set boundaries because they're connected to you, just like we said earlier. Okay, you have to be connected to what it is that you're doing. So how did you get there? Why are you setting this boundary right now? I would say jot down your thoughts about this. I think too, okay, especially if this is something that is really close to you, like this boundary is something that you absolutely need, it is so important to see the rap sheet of how you got there. All right, so it is important that you are looking at that. And I'm putting so much emphasis on this because, we always say we want to make changes. How does that feel? Like, I want you guys to get that fire burning inside for that change by looking at why it is you want the change. Why do you want the change? And then just make space to think about what you need. What is it that you need out of the boundary? Okay. Now, I know that a lot of people feel guilt, all right? The guilt is from external systems. That's why we feel guilt. All right, and know that the guilt will never go away when you are setting a really hard boundary, but it's more about coping with that guilt, because I think you need to keep telling yourself, like, I am setting a boundary because whatever that is, I want to feel better. I want to make sure that I'm doing things that are aligned with me. Okay, I want to make a change. So there's things that you want to really think about and really embody. And I think that with the guilt piece, because I have felt guilt for so long, for so many times in my life, for, putting myself first, for setting really hard boundaries with people, okay, and with myself, that guilt is just part of the process, okay? It's not the whole thing. It's part of the process. And it's totally okay to feel that. But I want you to think about why you're making that change, why you're setting that boundary, okay? And just do it slowly. That's the most important part, is just to do it slowly, all right? Your job is to learn how to tolerate guilt. And the more you practice kind of tolerating that guilt and really being really clear in why you're aligned with making that boundary for yourself, that'll go away, that'll subside. Like I said, it's just part of the whole thing. Because really, I want you to embody what it is you're getting out of that, what it is you're getting out of that boundary and having that boundary. Okay, think about the things that you wrote down. Like maybe you want to feel more at peace. Maybe you want to feel like you have agency over yourself, right? Maybe you just want that icky stuff to just stop, right? And that in itself, I think, is just a lot of things to counteract that guilt, even though we know we're going to have it, okay? I think another thing that comes with boundaries, and this is a really big one, and this is something that I have been living for a year, is grief, okay? Because the fact is when you start choosing yourself, when you start setting boundaries for yourself and what you're going to tolerate, right? You are going to have a lot of grief, because guess what? Deep down inside, you know you love your family or your friends. You know you love the things that you have in your life, right? And I think that's with self-awareness, okay? It's like grief is a really, really heavy thing, and it's going to impact you. But once again, it's just you need to make sure that you are really, really close to the meaning of the boundaries that you are setting, all right? Close to the meaning of the boundaries you are setting. And you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of shifting around, okay? Not everyone is going to be okay with you doing that. And I think that's where the grief comes from, because you're grieving your old self, but you're also grieving that other people may not be able to meet you where you are. They may not be able to understand the boundaries that you're setting for yourself, and that's hard. So boundaries and setting them is not a game of perfection, okay? We talked about it earlier. You will fall off from now, then and again. That's life. But just get back up and just get really clear and go back to your notes or your journal or why it is that you are setting that boundary, okay? You're really honoring yourself when you're doing that, all right? And you will teach people how to love you. You will teach people what is acceptable. You will teach people to check themselves. And that is part of the evolution of being in relationships with people and friendships with people. So just before I close the boundary talk off, one of the things that you can do to start, that you can do today, is look at your schedule, okay? Take about 20 minutes a week. Look at your schedule. And then I want you to go through and look at things that are not sitting well with you. Look at things that you're not happy to do that you're doing, okay? And then start thinking up a way so that you can make a change. Things that you can shift. Negotiations you can make with yourself or with others, okay? And you'll see that you'll be able to eradicate the things that you feel are not in line with the boundary that you're trying to set. That's my end piece for that. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you'll try it. Let me know if there's a boundary that you have right now that you want to set with yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Boundaries is a really tough thing. It really is. And if you wanted to speak to me about boundaries or things that you're going through, you can connect with me and we can have a complimentary call. We can just talk about what's going on. Okay, just want to sort of see what's going on. If there's a way I can help you, then I will. I usually make it a point of giving some sort of takeaway that you can do right now, okay, whether you decide to work with me or not, because I believe that, wellness and mental health support should not be behind a lot of paywalls and things, okay? If I can give you something, a tool that you can use, I would love to do that. Okay, so that was our boundary talk. Please make sure that you are prioritizing yourself, okay? Make sure that if you want to change something, you're doing that. Don't be afraid to set boundaries that are going to help you to get to the happiest version of you, okay? Or the content version, whatever that is, whatever you want. Do not be afraid to do that, all right? You have the power to change your energy. You have the power to bring what it is that you want to yourself, okay? We have that within us. Don't let anyone steal that. And if someone does, we can always reel it back, okay? It's always ours. We just have to reclaim that. That's my time. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Please go out there and be amazing. Please make sure that you're being kind, because we have no idea what the hell people are going through each and every day. Okay, so kindness always matters. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Okay, ciao.